Hey there, Cam. Welcome back. How are you?
Oh, hey Chris. Good. Had a big weekend. We just finished our 3-day trading business school program down at Tweed Heads. So it was awesome program and feeling a little tired, but very excited about this week's trading. There's going to be some
Yeah.
great opportunities again, I think.
Yeah, there's been a lot of movement we've seen towards the back end of last week and a lot of geopolitical news that we spoke about last week, which is sort of happening over the weekend as well.
Yeah. So Friday was a big drop, I think, with those airstrikes. Obviously, Iran trying to attack Israel and Israel retaliating because of this UN vote. America decided not to vote for Palestine to be included in the UN, so that caused a bit of tit for tat. And obviously, this is what's being reported. It's hard to know exactly what's going on, but obviously, just got to follow what's happening in the markets in terms of the reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. No, plenty of volatility, as we say. Whenever there's bad news or world incidents, it just creates volatility.
Yeah, that's right. And we could see over the last few weeks there was something building because gold and silver just started to rally.
Mm.
Over the last probably 2 months, particularly gold was starting to show some signs of strength for ages. As we know, gold can have these big consolidation periods and then finally break out. And we saw that. We saw the gold do the breakout, then it consolidated, then it broke out again. So on Friday, when we had those airstrikes, I think it hit 2,450 on the futures, and then it's sort of come back into a balance zone now. So we'll go into the chart, shall we, and have a look and see what opportunities we've got
Yeah,
in
definitely.
the markets. So hang on. So let's look at gold. This is the gold daily chart. So this was this rally that we've been talking about, Chris, coming out of the consolidation and rallying above 2,200 and rallying up to hit that all-time high at 2,000, almost, 2,450, almost touched it.
Mm.
So you can see now we're in this balance range. So obviously the market's just really rotating between the major fibs, 76, 23, 38, and you can see there's a lot of acceptance around the 50%. So yeah, it's just one of those situations of, I think you hear this thing in trading a lot. You buy the rumor, you sell the fact. So there was, I think we said last week, there was some inside information as to, obviously, big players know what's going on in the world. And it looks like there was some buying in the gold market. And we know China's buying gold heavily and storing gold heavily. And we saw, I think, released last week, the Zimbabwe dollar. What I read was Zimbabwe is a very wealthy country, a lot of resources. Anyway, they had a large amount of debt to, I think, the World Bank and also to China. So I think China took out a lot of that debt. And then China have basically put a lot of money into their infrastructure, building, roads, bridges, power, water systems, all sorts of things. So China are getting a big hold in a lot of these African countries, but they made a big play on Zimbabwe, basically just wiping out all of the debt that they had to China. And I think they're in experimentation for this. The ZiG just got released, which is the Zimbabwe dollar, a new dollar, which is backed by gold. So it looks like, the BRICS nations, where there's been talk that the BRICS nations are all about buying, using the currencies backed by gold or converting all currencies backed by gold. So it's an interesting movement, I think, to see that, because there's been a lot of talk about gold-backed currencies. So yeah, just an interesting thing to watch to see how that plays out. But it looks like to me it's very much a testing ground for China. and that system. So
I
they
think
could be
it's
gearing up for this.
yeah,
Sorry.
I think it's something worth googling for people. The BRICS scenario. I started looking into it myself a few weeks ago, and it's just interesting. It's it's obviously not going to happen overnight, but it's interesting
No.
that these countries are looking to get away from the US dollar and look for something else.
Yeah, and as we know, look, China, they're good planners. They know what they're doing. Obviously, they've had this plan for many, many years. Like if you've seen, on the internet, there's been, stories of China building basically ghost towns. They're building cities already in
Yeah.
and massive infrastructure in Africa. So they see Africa as a big play, particularly for resources. So they're definitely smart planners, and we can learn a lot from the Chinese. So anyway, that's the gold situation. So in the short term, it's just going into consolidation, and a lot of that speculative buying. There's obviously some profit taking happening now, and maybe some accumulation happening right now as well. So the market's in this in this balance zone, and obviously we could break higher up to 3,000. I think they're talking about 3,000 being the price that's going to get there at some point in the next couple of years. So yes, and this we have been. I've been reading a lot of articles recently about we're in this age of turbulence, and astrologically we're in a lot of turbulence as well on that level. But we're seeing it play out in these wars and all this madness going on around the world. So that's gold in terms of the daily chart. Silver's doing very, very similar as well. If we look at the silver futures market, futures market, you see it's in a balance. So we're basically within this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 day balance. So it really didn't do much on Friday with that with the news. Gold reacted more heavily than silver. So that's that. Let's look at the indexes, which is where we spend most of our time. And I'll see where I can find the monthly chart. Where is my Nasdaq workspace? Here we go. So Chris, last week we talked about those key ranges. We talked about that monthly low being 18,000, and that was a very key level we were looking for. When the market tends to hit these monthly lows, they tend to either break hard or they bounce off them quite strongly. And we got a very strong break on that last week. So if we look at the daily chart, so this is where we're trading today, being Monday. Friday we had the big drop down, and the market has been steadily just dropping all week. So Monday was the breakout that we had on Monday. That was that zone we were watching, 18,000. You can see once we broke out of 18,000, interesting how markets turn off these pivot points, came back to that significant level, came off 18,000 and just basically trended down. So, in the short term on these higher time frames, we are in a downtrend now. So you can see the trend indicators flipped, and we are in a downtrend. So, what's the market going to do? Are we going to continue in this downtrend on these high time frames? Are we going to go back into a balanced range? So we'll see what happens early in the week. But this daily bar is a really important daily bar to frame up. I'd probably run a fib. I think it's important to run a fib over the prior day anyway, just to give you some reference points when the market's if it's retracing. But it looks like the market may want to try and retrace. But as we're in markets tend to move from trends into ranges and then back into a trend. So, are we going to see a week of accumulation, consolidation, or are we going to see a continuation of this downtrend? I guess you still got to back the downtrend at the moment. But this morning we've had a nice just this afternoon leading into the European Open, we've had a nice move to the upside, which is I think has been good. I think I got a few ticks on a long earlier. But what else have we got? Yeah, so the S&P 500 looking very similar. We broke that monthly level around that 5127 level that we mentioned last week, and very similar to the Nasdaq. The markets just kept continuing to the downside. That's the current. So that's the current chart we're in right now, or the current daily chart. So this is the 24-hour data. So you can see we're back above that 5,000 level, which is a really key price level, just a very well-known area. So look, can we continue to go down lower? Yeah, of course. There's a bit of fear around. So if there's any more escalation with Middle East situation, then we're going to see probably some more selling off. If things stabilize, then the market might rebalance, and we'll see some accumulation. We've also got news this week. Not a lot of news in terms of on the Forex Factory. We do have. Just having a quick look here. We do have on Thursday in the US, we have Tuesday. Tuesday we have manufacturing news coming out at 11:45. And then I think on Thursday is the next lot of news. We have advanced GDP and unemployment claims Thursday night at 10:30, so in the pre-market. And then on Friday night, we've got core PCE price index at 10:30 as well. So there's a little bit of red flag news. Once again, we are in earnings season as well, Chris. So we've got this week, we've got some big players on the tech space which are reporting. So we've got Tesla reporting on Tuesday in the US. We've also got Meta, which is Facebook. We've also got the CME Group reporting as well, if anyone's interested. We've got Boeing. We've also got some other big tech companies, Intel, Microsoft, and Google, also reporting on Thursday. And then we've got some oil companies on Friday as well. Oil has not. It hit 85, I believe, and it's down back around about 82, I think. So it hasn't done a huge amount. Oil's had a good run though recently, but it's sort of pulled back a little bit at the moment. But yes, that's pretty much the main news this week. So we've got a couple of big tech companies that may move things around a little bit as well if their reports are good. But yeah, look, that's the great thing about day trading, right? We can trade in either direction. There were some very good opportunities last week with those shorts, but we found that the market moved. Typically in the US time, there was some big movement in the US, and there was Asia. There was a big move as well. But when those markets move, they tend to move on. We had a big liquidity break where there was a lot of selling in the markets. Some big players obviously dumping a lot of contracts. But let's see if we get bigger players dumping contracts. I don't know how big the sell-off was last week in terms of players actually dumping contracts. But if we get some bigger institutions, dumping contracts, that could create a larger correction. But at this stage, I haven't seen any really big players dumping positions at the moment. But there has been obviously some decent selling off last week, as we can see in terms of volume. There was some larger than normal volumes last week in the market, and we saw that nice correction on the major indexes. So great opportunities in the market. So we're definitely out of balance at the moment, and that's where traders can make very big money when markets are moving out of balance. However, I think the market's going to rebalance this week. So I think run a fib over this last daily candle Friday, just to see if you can get some moves against that tonight. And on the weekly chart as well, maybe have a look and run a fib over the weekly as well, just to see. That could be also an important level. But we're definitely swinging down low on the weekly chart. So we are in a downtrend on this weekly chart, and we're swinging down. So let's see what happens, guys, this week. Should be good. Should be some good opportunities.
Yeah,
But I
definitely.
think
With
that's
a lot of news being announced and a lot of earnings being released, no doubt there'll be movement. Definitely for sure.
Yeah, look, traders love volatility, and this is a very important time to be trading or sharpening up your skills and really getting into it. But there's been some great results being posted, and I think it's going to be another good week of movement. So stay safe.
Fantastic.
Once again, guys. Just watch out. Your PVIs have been fairly high. Volatility's been high, so just make sure you're trading with the right number of contracts and you're trading with the right risk profile. But stay safe and have a great week, everyone.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Ya.
Bye.